Welcome back, guys. In today's video it's about XO, the sampler by XLN Audio. It has some nice capabilities of classifying your samples from the hard drive, and it's nice to find samples also from the hard drive. For today I want to show you some tips and tricks how I use it to create samples, sample packs pretty easily and quickly. And it's also a nice practice of making drums and creating sample libraries for yourself for your future productions. So let's start. So let's say you want to create a sample pack with a lot of kick drums, and the kick drums should sound kind of the same but different each time. So you want to have the same bass layer, so to have the same energy in all of the kick drums. So what I usually do, and I also already did this in the past to create some nice sample packs. You can also create drum loops this way, but I'll show you in a minute. So what you do is you basically search for a bass layer, let's say a kick drum with a lot of energy in it, something like this, and then some top layers, acoustic ones, something like this, or something like this, maybe a rim shot for the click, and then you just play it together, right? Which sounds probably shit. But then you can use all the settings. For instance, the sub bass here should be not that long, maybe a bit shorter here. Let's see. Something like this. But we can also here cut everything out above 100 Hertz. You just need sub layer in here. From 100 Hertz upwards, we can use here this one, maybe also a bit shorter. This one too. And this one is just a click on top and should be pretty short. So let's see how this sounds. Nice, okay. We can use here the transformer to increase the loudness. Not too much. You can also bring in some reverb at some point. Maybe use dark room, bright room. Just a short reverb to make it kind of roomy. Okay. Maybe add here an EQ at the end, just to narrow everything a bit more down. You know, it's all like a taste thing here, where you boost frequencies. It also depends on what kind of style you're going for, but I just want to give you general advice how you can layer sounds or create samples easy and fast. So we have this now. Maybe we also use here this FX2 trick I use all the time with the frequency shifter in the top, in the high band here. Maybe distortion on top. That's maybe too much. Something like this. Peak limiter. That should be nice. That's too much here. So you have to find a sweet spot for everything. And when you are done, you can bounce this here and say, this is my new kick drum. You can also just use here the sample combiner and say I want to leave the sub fundamental sample, the base layer, so this one. So I want to stay with this throughout my sample pack. So every kick drum basically has the same base sub energy, but everything else changes. So we can use the random button now and have a second bass drum. Bounce this. Maybe go to the next one. Reload. Next one. Oh, this one here. So you can basically just replace here all the samples. You can use even more samples. You don't need to use just here 4 layers. Sometimes I used all these layers here, maybe also introduce some snare sounds or some random fade-in sounds at the end. So everything to get a nice sample. Awesome. Sample this. So we have basically now here 4 bass samples. This one, this one, this one, this one. And they all sound kind of different in the top range, but they have the same energy at the bottom. So when you are making a lot of samey tunes, let's say you make melodic techno or you make techno or dubstep, and you prefer some kind of kick drum over others, then maybe analyze what's happening in the sub part of the kick drum, and then make a lot of samples that have changing top ends and the bass part stays the same. So you're probably gonna end up with using these samples because you like the sub bass or the sub part of it. And also when you have maybe one tune and you want to change up the kick drum, but not that much, right? When you have one kick drum throughout the whole track and then you change the kick drum for something completely different, then it sounds strange. But with these kind of samples, it's not that strange because only the top part changes, not the fundamental or the main energy of the sample. So easy way of creating samples or kick drums. Sometimes I do also use this to create drum loops. For instance, let's go with this one here. Let's say I want to make drum bass loops, right? So I do the same. So we have basically the kick drum part here already done. And we use the second XO for the snare part. And we do the same with the snares. Let's use just a easy, simple, or maybe a 909 snare. Something like this. And then use some rim shots or claps. And see what we can do with these samples. Right. And then just need here the meaty part. It's probably around 200-300, maybe something like this. Make this clicky. This one will be pretty short. hi-hat. Maybe bring in also here a short reverb. Something like this. Oh yeah, sometimes when you have like samples that don't start really at the beginning here with the right attack, maybe you have to fiddle around here with the starting offset of the XO samples. You can do this here by just clicking the sample. You can change here the starting offset. Sometimes you have to do this, but you will hear it. If you have good speakers or good headphones and you compress, when you compress or use maybe a clipper and put a clipper on the snare, you will hear that you have a slightly different sample offsets, right? It's not really aligned, but you can hear that. You don't need to use a scope for that, in my opinion. You can use a scope, but it's easier when you can hear it. And if you use a hard clip here, maybe on this one, and then you crank up basically the input and clip the fuck out of the sample, you can hear it at some point. That something is not really aligned. But also, it's not a big problem because you separated here the frequencies of all the samples, so they are not basically overlapping. So it's, or not that much overlapping. But sometimes when you have like a pretty a sample with a lot of padding in front of the sample, right? It starts not exactly at the first sample here. Then yeah, you have to adjust that. So keep that in mind. Maybe also here an EQ on the end. So we have a kick drum. And maybe another XO for the hi-hats. And then you can guess it. You just use a sample combiner then and exchange everything, and we can create different loops easily. So let's go for hi-hats here. Something like this. Maybe too easy one here. Yeah, let's go with this one. Also hard clip on this one. So we can open up here this one, this one, this one. You can go in the sample combiner here and just hit play. Oh, we need to leave this at this one here. Maybe we need also here to use a group for that, drums group, and maybe optimize here the drums even more. But you can see in which direction this is going. And you can bounce out a lot of these drums then and create easily hundreds of loops. Maybe they are not all that great, but sometimes they give you a nice starting point. Sometimes they are nice for layering purposes. Kick drum is maybe too meaty. Nice, maybe different snare. So this is something I do sometimes to layer sounds. But like I said, you can use more of these samples here, for instance, the kick drum, right? You can layer also some effect sounds in here to give some more room and some more interesting texture to the kick drum. Yeah, something like this. Or something like this. Just, you know, to make the samples interesting or the loops interesting enough to give you a nice starting point. And sometimes this is also a nice practice where you just sit down and try to make good sounding drum loops, drum samples, and practice just, you know, the craft of making samples or making good sounds. Yeah, this is what I want to show you with the XO. You can also use Atlas for that if you want to use Atlas. But I use this one here because it's so easy with the controls here of pitch, tonality, EQs, and separating the frequencies easily, and also having here a small step sequence on the right side. And yeah, nice way of doing samples. Thanks for watching this video. If you don't own XO, then there's an affiliate link down in the description where you can buy XO and also help me out on this channel. If you liked the video, then please leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you want to, and also there's a Patreon link down below if you want to support my future content. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.